Welcome to Wholesale Hotline, where we cover everything to do with wholesale real estate. I'm Jamil Damji.
I'm Brent Daniels.
And I am Morby.
And together we cover the most important parts of wholesale real estate.
Lead generation.
Conversion of sellers into contracts.
And dispositions. Guys, remember when you're watching this show, do us a favor and squad up in the comments.
Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channels and in the Facebook group Wholesale Hotline.
Most important, we want to know we're doing a great job for you and helping you build your business. So go give us a review on iTunes and or Spotify.
So squad up and enjoy the show.
Welcome to Wholesale Hotline number 204. My name is Brent Daniels.
Cody Hoffine.
What's cracking? Jamil.
Morby. Dude, we're like a couple of weeks away from a 4-year run
That's
on
it.
the show.
That's it. Exactly a month away.
Wow.
Mhm.
4 years straight. Talk about consistency.
That's it. Every Monday.
Who's this guy to the left with bigger arms than you, dude?
Yeah, what's going on here? Jeez, Louise.
Have you ever
you're
measured
so
your arms,
strong.
Cody?
Yeah, they're not close. I think my thighs might have his arms, but I don't know if the arms do.
What are you rocking right now?
Uh,
What are they, 18ers?
oh, yeah, these are, what are yours?
27 and a half.
So 26 and a quarter.
Welcome. We got a full house here.
Yeah, we got a camera.
Can you
on
guys
there.
make some noise, please?
What up, everybody?
This is good stuff.
We got probably another 60 people coming halfway through the show.
Good.
Just so you know.
Standing
Amazing.
room only.
Standing
Amazing.
room only. yeah.
Okay.
How's your week last week?
Phenomenal.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you sell any deals?
We can't keep inventory. We can't keep inventory right now. It's
Mhm.
just become pretty wild how the investor mentality shifts so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because I talked to some retail agents. They're still flat.
Yep.
So, Monique and I, we do a lot of business. Our business is probably ramped up to about 12 deals a month just with her right now, 10 to 12. And she's now just saying, look, the retail space is so dead and commissions are flat. The buyers are backing out. Financing is falling through. This happens. It's just retail sales are so clunky right now because of the rates and just because of the whole atmosphere that real estate agents, when educated correctly, can make so much more money without the hassle, headache, timelines that a retail transaction would have coupled to it.
Yep.
So educating agents to get in the game with you, whether they take that agent hat off and put the investor hat on, whether they help you with wholesale cash deals, creative deals, where you're educating them on subject to and creative finance. This is the play. It is unfathomable just how uneducated the space is, but how much opportunity that presents for people like us to go in and take advantage of re-educating the professionals in the industry.
Yep.
And creating an entirely new lane of opportunity.
So what is Monique doing? Is she just calling up? Is she just doing her normal prospecting, calling canceled,
She's calling
expires?
canceled expires. That's her number one source of opportunity. And she has the hard conversation with them. She says, you were lied to.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that your house was well priced and well positioned for the market that we're in, seeing that you sat on the market for 6 months and had price reductions and nothing happened. You were completely hoodwinked.
Yep.
And that's unfortunate because there's no repercussions for the agent who did a bad job for you. There's no standards of practice. There's no repercussions. There's nothing that can happen to that agent for being dishonest because they were just trying to get a listing.
Yep.
And because of that, the person who's on the other end of that line is so dissatisfied. But if they have motivation to sell, they're open to the conversation. One last piece of advice before I turn it over. How Monique positions herself on those calls is not as the listing agent. She says, look, I'm not here to represent you. I don't want your listing. I represent a buyer who will come in and pay me my commission. So you just get a net price. I'm sure you're sick and tired of real estate agents. You're sick and tired of being lied to. You're sick and tired of the time. What you want now is a person who can write a check and close the deal.
Yeah.
And will pay me because you probably have lost faith in the industry. And that positioning is working so well for her because it's true. She's hitting every pain point. She's ripping off every Band-Aid. She's putting salt on it. And then she presents my offer. And, 10%, 12% of the time it's accepted.
Do you think that everybody here should be making those calls themselves, or do you find a real estate agent that batteries come included with them? They got a big motor, right? And they're going to make those calls for you and get the commission themselves. You know what I mean?
I think that Monique is a unicorn.
Right.
And trying to find unicorns in the mass is impossible.
Okay.
I think that it's our job to do outreach, to talk to agents, to do that at volume. And occasionally we'll come across an agent that becomes a unicorn. Now, they're not going to start off unicorns. We actually have to drill a hole in their forehead and screw the horn in.
Yep.
But we can make a unicorn if we need.
Yeah, but I think if they took this conversation, this clip right here, and sent it to a real estate agent that's struggling right now, that is used to doing a good amount of business, and they're like, wait, she's doing 12 deals by just going and calling property owners.
And another 20 to 30 retail.
Right.
So her business is exploded.
Right.
When every other agent's like, I'm hungry, she's having a completely different experience.
I got a little layer to this. So great conversation. And we want to break down Cody Hoffine's business. Anybody want to know why Cody Hoffine's here?
Yeah.
Not many. Guys, let's ask one more time. Who wants to hear the breakdown? All right.
Cool. So we'll get to that in a second. But what's interesting about expired listings is we've got a student in Sub 2. His name's Andrew McGuire. And he joined Sub 2 and he's like, oh man, I'm really busy with my traditional business. I'll get to Sub 2 in a couple of months. So he gets into the community, makes a couple of friends, but he stays focused on his traditional business because he's got inflow coming in, right?
Sure.
So about 4 months ago, he goes, bro, I have nothing. My pipeline is dead. So this goes on for a month. He's like, I don't have any income. So you know what he does? He goes and he starts looking for a job. Okay. Starts looking for, this is a successful real estate agent starting to look for a job. This is happening in our marketplace. A lot of real estate agents, instead of learning another skill or another club to put in their bag, he goes and he Googles like, what kind of job could I get if I'm a real estate agent? And he goes on YouTube and he's watching YouTube and then he sees my video pop up about expired listings. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm in Sub 2. So he goes into expired listings. Your question about should agents make these expired listings? I love expired listings because of this exact approach. Hey, Mr. Seller, I'm not an agent, nor will I ever be an agent. I'm actually a buyer. I hate agents probably as much as you do. Like literally, quite literally, that is my line when I call a seller. So Andrew goes in, he takes the script, starts calling, makes $61,000 his first month doing expired listings. Where did he do it?
Within the community.
In the same market as Monique Walker.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what I want to point out is that Monique Walker, who is a beast, she's calling on these expired listings. Andrew McGuire, his first month calling on expired listings, does $61,000 in assignments to me. I bought a fourplex, a duplex, and another deal. And Eric did a couple of those deals actually. And Andrew McGuire, this last month, same thing, made $50,000-$60,000 on the same list that Monique Walker is literally this same list. Maricopa County, expired and canceled listings.
Right.
So I start doing research. Every day in Maricopa County, 40 new expired listings hit the market every day. It's like a rooster getting on a little fence. And every morning that crow happens. That freaking thing is crowing, right? Then I did the math and I looked across the country. How many expired listings are popping up every single morning? A little over 10,000. So 10,000 real estate agents are getting fired on a daily basis. That's after 6 months of trying to sell the property retail. One, you made a good point. Why are these agents not being held accountable?
I have no idea.
Yet the industry wants to hold a real estate wholesaler accountable for having to cancel a contract during an inspection period. Oh, these freaking wholesalers. It's like, how about the fact that you as a licensed agent held this seller hostage by lying to them? Not even necessarily nefariously. You just don't know how to comp a property. You don't know you shouldn't have listed that property in the first place, right? So the great thing is we could bellyache and bitch and moan about it, or we could be the Monique Walkers of the world and go, I know a Jamil. And one thing I want to point out is that you don't just go find a Monique Walker. A Monique Walker finds you. Unicorns want to be around unicorns. And so it's your responsibility to become a unicorn, right?
1000%.
Go out and do the work, and people want to hang out. What did Dave Ramsey, shout out to Dave Ramsey, the guy who I hate about, but when he talks about debt, I'm like, bro, you don't know what you're talking about. But when he talks about everything else, that guy is so
Leadership's spot
genius.
on.
He's so good. He says thoroughbreds want to hang out with thoroughbreds, and thoroughbreds don't want to be with donkeys. And so you became a freaking unicorn.
Yeah.
And you attracted another unicorn, right? Like attracts like.
Yep.
So I would tell you expired listings, anybody can call expired listings. You don't have to be a licensed agent. And it's that lead that pops up every day. It's fresh leads every single day.
Guys, theredx.com, theredx.com, expired listings. They scrub it all. It'll literally connect to any dialing system that you have. And they've been doing it forever. I would just get the expireds every single morning when I was an agent to try to, drum up business and listings. Theredx.com. That's boom, you get it. And I think you could get it pretty much anywhere. I don't know if it's market by market, but I would check.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can get all, like the whole nation into your system or not.
And don't stress out about saturation. As Pace just said, what his name is Nathan? You said?
Andrew McGuire.
Andrew McGuire. I don't know.
And Nathan.
Is his middle
I don't
name.
know.
Yeah.
Andrew McGuire is working in a market where they're both calling on the same list, just as you had outlined. There's different times of the day that people call, and at the end of the day, even though there's thousands of agents in town, and there's thousands of people that say they want to do this, a handful of people actually do the work.
Right.
A handful of people actually do the work, and you never know who's going to answer the phone at what time. Monique only makes her phone calls between the hours of 7 and 9 a.m. After 9 a.m., she's off the phones.
Andrew calls 8 to 11.
Yep.
There you go. 2 hours.
Yeah.
They call 2 hours a day and carve out a business where we do 10 deals to 12 deals. This guy's doing $50,000, $60,000 in assignments a month.
Yeah.
And it's taking 2 hours out of his life.
Yep.
To have a quality conversation, position himself, and create an opportunity. And then we have people who are like, how do I get started?
Right.
What do I do? I mean, you've got the recipe. You've got the entire breakdown. If you did just that for 2 hours a day, could you not carve out a business where you made $10,000?
Yeah.
$5,000? More than what you're getting at your W-2 job right now?
The opportunities are honestly overwhelming, right? We could have a whole entire show talking about where are 50 places that deals come from, right? Postcards, TV, storks. That's where babies come from.
Yes.
There was a quote I saw a couple of days ago, which ties into this really, really well. It was, if it's hard, good. It means no one else will do it. More for you.
Yep.
That's it. That's all it comes down to. So when I see something that's hard, I'm like, oh, perfect. I want to go after that because I automatically know nobody will freaking do it. And when my team and I actually, I'll tell you guys a fun story. I was with Jerry Norton, his family, and my family. We were doing a Spartan race up in Utah. High altitude. Dude, that thing was a freaking beast, man. 14 miles. So my son, Asher, we get to mile 2. He's getting cramps. Like, mile 2, bro? You got 12 more miles to go and you're cramping? This is a problem. Homeboy sits down.
It's going to be you in that marathon, bro.
Basically.
Your nipples are going to burn off, bro. He's not even training for a marathon. He's going to run a marathon in like 3 weeks.
That's the challenge. You do the marathon by not training, okay? So, in fact, I was eating ice cream as I walked in here. So I am training, bro. I am training. So we get to mile 2. Asher's sitting down, and I look at him, and there's people passing us by, and I go, I looked at the stats, Asher. This is where 80% of people are going to quit, is between mile 2 and mile 4. Who do we want to be today? Do you want to be the person that quits and says, oh, it was really hard, and you make up these fake excuses? Or do you want to be the guy that was like, I finished last, but at least I finished? Yeah. And my little 15-year-old kid crossed that finish line with Jerry Norton, 12 more miles after that. And I have that same mentality. Do you guys know what Jerry Norton's family motto is? The Nortons do hard things. Yep. Such a good motto. Like, we do the hard things because nobody else is willing to do them. So anyway, we got a special guest in the studio today, Cody Hoffine, one of my heroes.
Hey, come on now.
Dude, I'm there was something that happened. You lost your mom not too long ago.
I did.
And what you were going through really impacted me. And this is what's so great about having a brotherhood and friends, is that you knew your mom was passing away.
Yeah.
And you did this really amazing thing where you were interviewing her as on a daily basis and having conversations with your mom. And dude, I look up to you in so many ways, not just real estate, not just from your systems, your culture and your business. I look up to you as a brother, and I just so grateful that you're here with us today, man. You got a lot of amazing wisdom that you're going to share with us today.
Excited to be here. I instantly was thinking as you guys were talking, by the way, this economy has made every one of us look better than we are.
Ooh.
Like this economy for the last 7 years, it made us look great. And these agents, right? These ones that are dropping off 10,000 a day, you said?
10,000 a day nationwide. Yeah.
Nationwide dropping off. It's because the economy made them look so good. And more importantly, I think for those that are here in studio, but to our audience, it's ever more important to make sure you are surrounding yourself with incredible people. Jim Rohn's quote will always remain true. You're the average of the 5 closest individuals you spend the most time with. Pick your 5, pick your 5 wisely. And that average goes up significantly if one of them's God. I will tell you, that's my secret. But more importantly, you got to have the movers and the shakers. So as I'm hearing you guys, it's why I'm excited to sit at this table and call you guys friends is because you had to pivot. You had to shift. You didn't just sit here, and people sat. So as time got hard, they would sit there. And then ultimately their confidence starts to go down. They start to doubt themselves more. They start to get online and think, man, I'm going to go see if I can get a job. Like, what got you to that point?
Yeah.
It's addiction to comfort.
Yeah,
right?
addiction to comfort.
It's addiction to comfort. At the end of the day, it is such an addictive thing to be in a comfortable position.
Yeah.
And you look at it and you say, okay, well, it's been easy all this time.
Yeah.
Maybe not super easy. Of course, you had to prospect and do things, but like you said, we all kind of looked really good for a long time. And real estate agents were part of that club. You had no need to comp properties. You literally could throw a dart at a dartboard and decide what you're going to list price was.
And then it'd go 40 grand above
and
that.
it would go above that. And so that you look just like a superhero to your client. But in honesty, right? The comfort that keeps people trapped in whatever that situation is, whether it be your W-2 job, whether it be sitting and hoping that the market changes so that things will turn. The pivot is the hard thing.
Yeah.
The pivot is going into uncharted territory and abandoning a strategy or abandoning what you had done that was working at one point but doesn't work anymore, and leveling yourself up through hardship, because nothing good comes without struggle.
That's right.
Nothing good comes without some form of struggle, right? And the people that are in this room are testimony to the fact that you will see the other side of it if you can get through the pain of discomfort.
Yeah.
But again, out of 100 people, how many people want that? 10?
99% of people say they want it because it feels good to tell yourself that. You get these the chemicals release in your brain of like, dopamine. I'm talking about doing the thing. The dopamine releases and you're like, I'm talking about these goals. I'm writing it on the thing. I'm putting it on the wall. And that feels good temporarily. So they feel like they're making traction. And then when you talk to them, they go, dude, I've been trying to get a deal for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Cool. What have you done? Oh, I have this vision board and I have this thing and I have what.
Well, they break promises to themselves every day. And every time you break a promise to yourself, you reinforce the fact that you're not that guy.
Yeah. Evidence.
It's evidence.
It's easy to be motivated. It's the easiest thing ever to be motivated. It's the hardest thing to be disciplined. That's the thing, right? And it's not even just the discipline to like just get up and do stuff all day and like really work and really, move your business forward. How about the discipline after you close a big deal? How about a discipline when you close when you have a big old month, when you have 200,000-300,000 sitting in your bank account? That's when the discipline's really challenged, because that like nitty gritty hustle season, fire in your belly, that stuff that could get you real far.
Yeah.
And then there's another level there, because you could stay right there. You could stay right at that glass ceiling where you don't wake up hungry. You don't wake up like you have zero leads, zero opportunities, zero deals spent, zero deals that are closing, or zero opportunities, or zero money in your bank account. That's the tough part, I think. Because you can take everything that you learn on this show, on our YouTube channels, on everything, and you could go out and you can make 100, 200, 300,000. Do you have the discipline to go higher? That's the real tough part.
The only way I've hacked that is I just get rid of all my money.
Yeah,
That's it.
I've been following
You
that
have to.
advice, too.
Back
Just
against the wall.
You have
get
to.
rid of it.
I just have learned my personality. I'm like, just buy more assets. But we went and visited 3 properties today. Me, Tigger, Ryan, a couple of the people hung out with me today. And I'm just deploying capital into more assets.
Start over at zero.
Start over every single month. I'm like, Molly will call me. She goes, hey, we need to do this and this. And I go, I have no money. She goes, well, you better get to work.
Mhm.
I'm like, thank you for the reminder. I appreciate that.
But it breaks your brain if your financial thermostat is not set high and you're not around people that make 10,000, 100,000, 200,000, whatever the next level is for you, you're going to just stay at the same financial thermostat.
Yeah.
You will. And it's ingrained from the time that you're born to the time that you're like 12 or 13 years old. What did your family talk about money? How much money did they make? Were they around people that were making a lot? Were they around? And when we're talking about money, we're just talking about the amount of value that you put out there. Your income's equal to the amount of value you provide the world. That's it. That is your income. It's not just like hitting the lottery and doing that type of thing. And I'm not talking about like keeping the wealth going. I'm talking about actually earned income, not passive income, the actual earned income.
It's funny that you mentioned that right now because Bobby and I filmed a YouTube video today that'll come out in a couple of weeks where I talk about identifying your pattern with money and because everything we do is a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
I've in the last 3 months where my life got really hard, I had to step back and be like, okay, I got to get to 10,000 feet so I can see my patterns. Because if I can see my patterns, I know where I went wrong. And then I can make new decisions so that I have new patterns, right? We can do that with money. So you essentially want to write your story about money, your autobiography about money. Start from the beginning and get to today and remove every ounce of emotion and judgment out of that story. Don't make this something that's like, I messed up here, I did good here. No, just what are the facts from start to today? What's your story about money? What's your biography about money? Then take a step back and think, where did that come from? So then you go to the parents. What conversations did you have as a kid about money?
Most things are caught, not taught.
What was the tension between the parents?
Dang,
Were
that's
you an
really
economic
good.
drain, or how did they talk to you? How did they make you feel about money? What was the relationship that you ancestrally got from your parents about money? Then go 10,000 feet up and look at that, see exactly what those patterns are because they came from your ancestors. Find the pattern, identify it, and when you're in it next time, because you can't change it without being in it, you're now aware of it. And when you're making that shit decision, stop, give distance, exit, take out the pattern, input the new behavior, and watch your life completely change.
There was 2 things that this is like bringing up good stuff that I wish I would have known when I was just getting involved. Is anyone just barely getting going? Yeah, show me your hands.
Just starting.
Okay. You hear the quote, cut your excuses in half, triple down on your action. That sounds great. That's motivation. We can get motivated by that quote. I wish someone would have told me behind every excuse lies a fear because we need to do the work. So when we're saying challenging these beliefs that many times we caught versus taught, challenge your beliefs. In fact, to get to 250,000, I would really say it doesn't actually take much skill. It just takes action, imperfect action, and you can get to $250,000. But from $250,000 to $1 million, there's 2 things when people say, I need to scale my business. And I think we always just say, yeah, just get some more marketing channels going. And it's not. The 2 biggest things that I always see is a new skill set. To get to the next level, you can't just keep doing what you're doing. You've got to learn the new skill that's going to require most people at 250 don't know how to delegate. So delegation.
I was just going to say delegation is number one.
Number one.
Yeah.
Number 2, the time that you need to spend is really making sure that you challenge your current beliefs. Because there's beliefs holding people back. They're like, well, I've never thought I could get to 10 million. I don't think I'm deserving of 10. There's no way I could get to 10 million. That will inevitably be the truth that you hold the rest of your life. You will never get to 10 million because it's a belief. You got to challenge that. Why? They got some people that I've heard. I have someone close to me that said, my mom told me my whole life until I was like 20 years old, a good mom stays at home. A good mom doesn't go to the gym. A good mom takes care of their kids and sacrifices everything they have. Does this sound familiar to anyone else?
Yeah.
Is it true?
No.
It is so far from true. Take yourself on a plane and listen to the stewardess and see who they put the mask on first. Is it your child?
No.
It's yourself.
Mama.
It's yourself. And you have to take care of yourself. When you show up for yourself, then you actually get to show up better for your kids. So they had to challenge this belief that was instilled in them for 20 years that held them back from actually being the best mom. And that was, you don't do nothing for yourself. That couldn't be further from the truth. So this is my whole point when it comes to business, buildings. You've got to learn new skills and you've got to challenge your current beliefs, because those two things will hold you back from growing to the limits that you actually are meant to be for.
Love that. Money. So good. Were you an Eagle Scout?
I was not. I was a vulture.
You were a vulture? Come on, bro. You never went to Scouts?
I went to Scouts, yeah, but I did not.
You didn't get your Eagle Scout?
I didn't achieve the big one, no.
Okay, so he's LDS, I'm LDS, and so it's a big part of our culture. My parents would not let me drive or date girls until I got my Eagle Scout, so I got my Eagle Scout, right?
You got it at 12.
Bro, I got it. I did. And what was so fun about Eagle Scout, becoming a Scout, is that you earn merit badges along the way.
Sure.
And then you get older and you realize those were micro skills that you had to learn in order to become a thing.
Correct.
And we're all learning micro skills. You're currently learning micro skills, delegation, leadership, all of those types of things. You've already learned how to do delegation. We'll talk about your business model here in a little bit and your team. I know a bunch of your team members. They're unbelievable. Selver actually texted me earlier, and just like the people you churn out and the culture that you create is amazing. You didn't learn that from birth. You had to go and acquire that skill.
1,000%.
Right. And same thing, all of us here, right? We're all pivoting. We're all at a different level. I want to give a big thanks to Jamil. So I hear a lot of, or not Jamil, Brent, I hear what you're saying, but people are sitting here going, okay, but show me how.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, Brent Daniels 5 years ago pulled Jamil, myself, Jesse Burrell, Annie Dragonova, Ivo Dragonov, Raphael, and
Steve Trang.
Steve Trang in a room in this exact building,
Yeah.
roughly 6 years ago. He said, everybody, this is in a group chat thread. I almost didn't reply because Evo has an Android, but I did reply. I was like, oh, green bubbles. Oh my gosh. Why?
On a group chat, it's the worst.
It's the worst. We converted Steve.
Exposed.
We're still working on Evo. But we get a text and Brent says, all of you guys get your butts down to my office. We're having a serious meeting. And we get into this room and Brent says, whether you like it or not, you're on my board of advisors. And he was talking about the Jim Rohn quote, basically saying, I hang out with you guys a lot. And I need to hold myself accountable to be around people that are improving themselves 25% or more every single year. And you cannot be in this room next year unless you've improved yourself 25%. Oh, bro, like unapologetically.
Well, these guys weren't taking any money home. They're making all this money and they were paying themselves nothing.
For real, dude.
Yeah.
We sat down in that room, and this was the first time, right? Because Keegley is making millions. And I'm taking home 10 grand a month.
Yeah.
No,
This
I'm
is
not
very
kidding.
common.
I was the
taking
number
home
one
10 grand a
investor
month.
franchise in the nation, and I wasn't taking money home.
It was the first time I heard.
Well, I was
Brent,
making money, but I was pouring it back in.
Brent said, "So I'm making $160,000 a month," and I was like, "What?
No.
Take home.
Take home.
I was like,
Take home.
You said what? I'll take home $160,000 a month. I'm like, you're fucking lying. Excuse me. There's no chance that you're
I showed him.
And then he showed me, and I'm like, how you do that?
He turned you gangsta.
Yeah, he did.
No,
yeah.
bro. The next year I hit 200K a month
Yeah.
because he unlocked a gate in my mind. He popped a gate. He
The power
popped
of
a
five.
gate.
Yeah, and so my advice there is, squat up with somebody that's doing the deal. It's why do we do so many community events? Why do we get people to, like we did who went to the taco spot, right? Just being in proximity of other people that are doing deals. There's a gentleman that was there. He took off to the airport, but he's done 84 deals in the last 60 days. And it's like just being in the proximity and feeling the energy.
That's right.
And what he said to me today, we spent the whole day riding around together. He says, when you told me I could do this thing, I didn't believe you. And all I did, because I was around you and I was around other people, I just did the thing that you told me almost to prove you wrong. Next thing you know, 2 weeks later, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can actually do this. So I would tell you, as human beings, as a herd animal, right? We are meant to run in a pack of wolves.
Yeah.
You can't do this on your own. No matter how much education, books, seminars, YouTube videos you watch, you need to get around your 5 people. And it was so true. And it has always been so true. We were at dinner with Grant Cardone a couple of years ago, and I'm sitting across the thing from Grant, and I'm feeling good because I've been hanging out with Brent. I've been hanging out with all these other people. I'm now taking money home out of my real estate business. I'm starting to scale big time. And Grant goes, how much do you make? And I tell him, he goes, why so little?
Mhm.
But I said it so braggadociously. He's like, he goes, you need to upgrade your 5. So even Grant Cardone is like, you need to
Live by
upgrade
the
your 5.
principle.
You got to live by the principle. So whoever out here, right, you guys got to understand that. Look at the 5 people you're talking to the most, you're collaborating with the most, and you add up the amount of money they're making and how many deals they're doing. And guess what? You divide it by 5. That's how many deals you're doing.
So I want to give some practical advice to this because I think you bring something incredible up. So please, nobody take offense to this, okay? But I'm not going to want to hang out with any of you guys. I don't mean that rudely. I'm just saying I'm not, because I don't want to level down. I'm trying to reach up. So how do you suggest people who aren't hanging around people who are making $250,000, $400,000, $500,000, $1 million a month? How do they get into a situation where they're around people where they can level up? Because that's not easy to break into. Let's be honest. I got X number of hours through the day. I'm looking at anchors. I'm looking at things and places I got to get to. I'm not trying to be, of course, in my community, I'm helping as many people as I can. That's a different situation. But if we're talking socializing, hanging out, I got other people that I'm trying to level up to. How do they break in? How do they break in? Because I'm truly curious, because I want to see the people in this room create this and make this for themselves.
I'm going to give you guys a 4-minute answer. Okay.
Yeah.
You okay with the average 4-minute answer is actually, I'm usually like a 50-minute answer.
Look at Jerry. I love
Jerry.
you, bro.
Jerry.
You're my boy. Jerry Norton.
He's on the screen,
Sorry, it's on
guys.
the
He's
screen.
not behind
you guys.
you.
Like, who's this guy? Mr. Jerry Norton.
I
Good
want
to see you,
I
brother.
want to give you guys a story actually about Jerry. How I stole a relationship with Jerry Norton into my life. So I'm at a mastermind, right? Get yourself into the room with the people that are doing the deals. And Jerry Norton just joins this mastermind. It was called the Go Giver Mastermind. You guys were all part of it. That's how we all met. It was awesome. And we're in that mastermind. Jerry Norton joins. He makes a post in the Facebook group. Okay. This is maybe 6.5 years ago, something like that. You remember the good old days, right?
Yeah.
Jerry makes a post in the Facebook group, and I'm like, I admire that guy. I love that guy. He has a massive family. Him and I have a lot of things in common. Religious background, all the things, same backgrounds. And I go, I want to be friends with that guy. Jerry, I can tell you, is really hard to become friends with. Okay. We're friends with Jerry, but I'm going to say this to Jerry. He doesn't have many friends outside of us. I'm telling you, right? He keeps himself blocked. He was so hard to build a relationship with. It took me years to do this. Here's what I did. I see this post in the Facebook group. He goes, hey guys, I just moved from Utah to Arizona. I don't have a big contractor list. I need a solution to a block wall. I have a block wall. It's going to cost me a bunch of money on this deal in Fountain Hills, Arizona. And I text Jerry immediately. I go, hey, Jerry, it's Pace Morby. He doesn't know me from Adam, really. Hey, it's Pace Morby. I'm near Fountain Hills, and I would love to take a look at your problem. Was I near Fountain Hills?
Nope.
Abso-freaking-lutely not.
Nobody's near Fountain Hills.
Exactly. So he's got this deal in Fountain Hills. I'm nowhere near there.
Yeah.
But I drop everything I'm doing, and I'm like, that's a relationship that I want to have, and I want to go earn that. Not ask for it. I want to earn that. So I go there. He's got this problem. I think he was getting a quote for like $25,000 or $30,000 to fix this problem. And I go, no problem. Let me bring my guy over there. I bring my guy, Leo. I drop everything I'm doing. I pick up Leo. Leo goes over there. He's a mason worker. And we're leaving this property after I met with Jerry. Jerry shows us the problem. And Leo goes, so bro, that's going to be like $25,000, $30,000 for me too. Like that's a big problem. And I go, you owe me a favor. I've been giving you work for 7 years. This is where I want to cash in all my chips right here on this deal. And he goes, so what do you want me to do? And I go, I want you to build Jerry Norton as little as humanly possible. I think Leo ended up doing this for free because I cashed in all my chips. And Jerry, like he went and did the work without even Jerry having to be involved in it. He's like, bro, this guy solved my problem. He did this thing. And Jerry's like, what do I owe you? And I said, a friendship.
Yeah.
Okay. That's how you earn those types of relationships. You get in the right room, you go to them and you say, what of value? And sometimes you're not sitting there bothering them, like sitting outside their house, like, what do you have? What do you have? What do you have? You just kind of watch and you notice what they have.
Yeah.
That's number one. I fought for that relationship. And when Jerry ever asked me to do something, he asked me to speak at one of his things. I'm like, I'll drop everything I'm doing. I will speak there. I want to show you that I want to be your friend. I want to bring value to you. And the tough thing is you're in this business a long time and you realize people want to take and take and take. And his wife said something to me a couple of years later after we became really good friends. She says, honestly, Pace, I've seen people take from Jerry so many times that when you came into our life, we weren't sure if you were real or not. But it was because you kept bringing value and you kept bringing value that I was like, wow, I actually like this guy. That took me 2 years.
Yeah.
It's one of the most significant relationships in my life. And same thing with you guys too. Jerry Norton's one of the best people on the planet. Now, outside of that, outside of like the influence space, when I was coming up in the game, I was in Homevestors, who I know you don't like Homevestors.
Hey, I'm okay with them.
I know you are.
They make us look good.
That's a really good one. Yeah. So I'm in Homevestors. And when I first started, this is how I felt. I felt like I came from a big family of 12 people, 12 kids in my family. We showed each other how to do things. My mom would say, hey, Chance, show Corbin how to do this, or Corbin, show Marika how to do this, and blah, 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 blah. And we just learned through collaboration. It was part of our family. Very similar, I think, to a lot of us. But then we get into the professional world. I jump into Homevestors. I go, can somebody please go on an appointment with me? Can somebody show me? I'm in what they call an ad council. Okay, so Arizona, Homevestors, the We Buy Ugly Houses, they had 20 people in the ad council. So we all shared money. We all pooled our money together, bought the billboards. You guys have all seen the billboards, right? The We Buy Ugly Houses. So that's not one company buying that. That's like 20 people in the local market pooling their money together to go buy those billboards together. Okay. Those phone numbers come in and they go on a round robin. So everybody shares on the dial. Does that make sense? But we're all somewhat competitors in a weird way.
Yeah.
And I would ask people, go on an appointment with me, go on an appointment with me, go on an appointment with me. And they would go out of their way to block my number, block my this, because I was asking for help. And my wife said something to me one day. She said, these are like blue crabs in a bucket. We all know about blue crabs in a bucket, right? Look it up, Google it, Google blue crabs in a bucket, and blue crabs will watch one person climbing out or one crab climbing out, and they'll pull the one back down. Instead of climbing on top of each other and helping each other get out of the bucket, they'll never, it's impossible for a blue crab to get out of a bucket, even though the bucket is halfway full of crabs that could easily help each other out. They just pull each other down, pull each other down, pull each other down. And they ultimately starve to death. Okay. Great video for you to watch in the future if you want to watch that stuff. So my wife says, these guys don't want to collaborate. They don't want to help. So what I did is we started creating this. Jamil, me, Brent, we started creating a community of people that are the opposite of that crap. And we started watching people in our communities, Subto, Astro, Gator, TTP. We started watching people collaborate at a very high level. And how many people are from out of town today? Okay, awesome. Tigger, do you feel like you could go anywhere in the country right now and you would be welcomed from our community in any state right now? And even today, we went to a taco joint and you get 30, 40 people walk up to you and hug you. We didn't have that when we first started. No. We did not have that. And it's the same thing when I go do a Sub2 meetup, Astro and TTP show up and we intermingle and we hang out. We did not have that when we were coming up. So I would say, I know it sounds stupid for me to go on so long about this, but I'm so passionate.
That's why I asked. I think it's super important because people have to have the path to the access.
Yes.
There's a path to access for sure. And you laid it out eloquently, and it's exactly that. You have to look for what the person you're trying to level up or be around needs, and then offer value so that you've solved the problem for them. And then
There's one common need.
What is that?
There's one common need. You said it. Did anyone catch what he said he doesn't have right now? What does he say he didn't have? He says, I don't have time. Everyone at this table wants more time. Provide a value that gives them more time. That you said it. I mean, I was listening. I already heard it. I was like, okay, if I want Jamil's time, I just got to get him more time.
That's brilliant.
And that's
very true.
That is common.
It's very, if somebody could figure out how to get me more time.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
What if his sales floor was not doing well? Do you know what I'd do? I'd say, I wouldn't even call Pace. I'd call the manager of his sales floor and say, hey, we're going to do a little training free of charge. Come to this. I've got some gold nuggets for you. If his numbers go up, they'll tell Pace, hey, Cody just trained the sales floor. And he's going to call me up and say, Cody, what'd I do? Nothing, dude. Just wanted to help out. Guess who'll get his time?
All day.
Because I gave him time.
All day. Look what Jerry Norton wrote, by the way. He said, he did it for $1,400. I had no idea Pace did that. I didn't know this story until recently. And so that's the other thing too, is constantly
for a block wall.
That's like, he lost money on that.
Oh, he lost.
Yeah.
But I cashed in my favors. I cashed in my stuff, right?
Sure.
It's like giving work to people and constantly going out.
Do you still give that guy work?
Leo, yeah, we still give him work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Leo's great. Love Leo. Leo's worked for me for probably 10 years at this point, maybe even a little bit longer. So
Awesome.
you get people in your life that are loyal, right? The wolf pack that you're running with.
Mhm.
And you got to stop and ask yourself. Brent really hammered this home for me 5-6 years ago was, you are my 5, whether you like it or not, you are my 5. And this is either going to be a benefit to me or a problem to me.
Yeah.
And I need you guys to all level up. And it wasn't like, hey, I'm asking you politely. It was, you need to do this or else this relationship can't be where it is. And first time in my life.
That's huge.
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 I've brought this up 50 times since because I appreciate it so much. And there's other times where now I take that message that Brent gave me and it's like a torch. I've got to pass that on and put the pressure on somebody else and go, you've got to get this done. I'm not going to have this conversation with you. We had Kevin Cho. Everybody knows Kevin Cho. He's our little brother in Subto. And Kevin Cho's, he's doing deals. This is 3 years ago. He's doing deals, but he's still staying at his mom and dad's house.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, bro, you need to move out of your mom and dad's house. And I'm like channeling my inner Brent Daniels, And so what I did one day is
Did you go bananas on him?
Oh, I took him to dinner. This is what I did. I took him to dinner. I took him to Nobu because him and I had done a couple of deals together. I took him to Nobu. This is 3 years ago. And I said, this is the Last Supper. He's like, what do you mean the Last Supper? I go, this is the last time you and I have a conversation unless you move out of your parents' house. And he's hanging out with other young guys in the community. I'm like, bro, I can't have you rubbing off your energy of like, it's okay for me to stay at mom and dad's house. Grow the freak up and move out of your parents' house. Moves out of his parents' house like a week later. He's like, absolutely. Sends me a text 2 days ago and he goes, that was the moment that changed my life forever. Is you held me accountable when nobody else was. They just like, oh, he's doing okay. He'll figure it out. Brent did not sit there and go, Pace will figure it out.
Yeah.
Brent sat down and said, get your butt over here. These are the things you have to figure out or else our relationship is going to change.
Well, everything's easy when things are good.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything's, and you talked about it. You talked about it with the economy. You talked about it with, it made everybody look like a genius. It's like, if you're not taking money home to your family to build actual assets, what are you doing? You're just doing it for an ego check. You're just making money and hiring people and putting their financial responsibilities in your hands because you want to feel cool, because you want to feel powerful, because you want to fill some weird gap that your childhood didn't. It's ridiculous. Take the money home. Take the money home. And then from there, it challenges you more. Once you have the golden goose that you're able to bring the money home, you actually focus on it and you don't turn into this spastic ADHD entrepreneur that tries to do everything all the time at once and sacrificing what they already built. You know what I mean? It's like you got to take the money home. That's just fundamental. And I learned that the hard way because I was just trying to be cool, trying to
you
have
kept me
big
from
businesses.
learning it the hard way, bro. You
Yeah.
kept me from learning it the hard way, and I appreciate you for it.
Well, I mean, you've been through things. I mean,
I have.
You know what
But
I mean?
the thing is, what Jamil said earlier, I had a blueprint that I was essentially trying to rebuild over and over and over. The blueprint was how my father handled money, my
Mhm.
mom handled money,
Mhm.
and think about 12 kids.
Yeah.
My mom and dad.
I did not know this.
Yeah, 12 kids.
One of 12.
1 of 12. Yeah.
Same mom, same dad.
Same mom, same dad.
I love your mom.
I told Jerry
Gotta
Norton, I
shake
said,
your
you're
hand.
not a man until you get to 12, bro.
Wow.
Yeah. Like
Jerry,
10?
that's a starter pack
10.
now. Now 10's a starter pack,
You're
bro.
like Jerry
He always
does.
uses that one on me. He's all 4. That's a great starter pack. Jerry, 10's a starter pack.
10 is a starter pack. To the Morby
Jerry
family.
doesn't have a lot of time to hang out with dudes. Yeah, he's got a bazillion kids.
He's got a bazillion
He's
kids.
not. Yeah.
But I look at the blueprint that I was given from my parents is that money was something you struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
And did you guys ever read T. Harv Eker's book about the secrets of the millionaire mind?
Yep.
So this was interesting. When I read that book, it identified something in the way my mom and my dad handled money. So in the first chapter, he talked about how his wife would handle money. And he found out that it was because his wife's mom, when she was growing up, would tell his wife, little girl wife, at the time, obviously little girl, she'd say, his wife would go to her mom and say, hey, mom, I need money. Can I have some money for, candy down the road? The candy man's coming. She says, oh, women don't have money. Go ask your dad. Mommy doesn't ever have money. Go ask your dad. Mommy doesn't have money. Women don't have money. So she grew up thinking women are not supposed to have money. So when T. Harv Eker would start giving her money to allocate and handle the bills, she would get rid of it as fast as possible. She's like,
I'm not supposed to have it.
I'm not supposed to have it. I'm not. And this chapter is so amazing. So I look back at my parents And as my dad scaled in business, and my dad had 2 different businesses, he would make more money. My mom would say, hey, I need more money for handling the house. Okay. My dad goes from 4,000 to 6,000, 6,000 to 8,000. But when he went from 4,000 to 6,000, my mom was spending 4,500. So then when he gave her 6,000, how much did my mom start spending? 7.
Yeah.
Then when my dad gave her 8, how much did she start spending? 10.
Yep.
And finally, instead of like going and getting educated, financially educated and reading books together like a good couple, they're old school. So what did my dad do? My dad was grouchy. He outworked it for years. And then finally he just goes, you are not allowed to touch the money. I will pay the bills. And it became this thing in life.
Resentment almost.
And how do you think I grew up thinking? Right? Like, oh, I got to handle the money. You're not allowed to handle the money. I'll pay all the bills. And you start seeing these patterns show up in your own life based on your parents. And you're like, oh, it was never taught. It was caught.
That's correct.
I caught it. Holy crap. I'm just like this amalgamation of all these experiences and these other knuckleheads around me.
So crazy, isn't it?
It's gross.
I know.
But that's the power of having good quality friendships, is that your friendships come over and they knock the roughness off you and they fix the problems with you. And we aggregate great information from each other. And it's how we protect ourselves and each other. And we look at the market that's coming up in 2024. And I think that's a good maybe transition in talking about like, how are we all transitioning and how are we all pivoting? How can we impart some good information with everybody here that's like, I don't know what to do in 2024. I see some clickbaiters on YouTube saying the whole market's going to fall apart.
Yep.
And then I see some really intelligent people saying it's physically impossible for the market to fall apart. What the heck are we doing? So I'd like to ask you gentlemen, what's our pivot this year? Are we pivoting? Is there no need to pivot? Are there going to be more fix and flips this year? Are there going to be what the heck is going to happen in 2024?
Who wants to shoot that one?
Go ahead.
Go.
Whew.
First, tell them what your business is.
What is Cody Hoffine going to do more
Joe
of?
Homebuyer, guys, if you look us up, we are basically your business in the box so that you can come. It's a franchise. So instead of having to go learn it all by yourself, you can buy a business box that hopefully scale it as big as you can. Now, FDD kind of restricts us all the time on what we can and can't say. So it's kind of go look it up. It's great.
Let's say this. I have a franchise. Jerry has 10.
Jerry has 10 of them, and he has one of them. He was a top producer last year with Joe Homebuyer. And how much time did you spend with your team?
Like for the year? I mean, I spent a lot of time
all
with
of the deals and knowing.
Oh, I didn't go on any of the deal. Yeah. I mean, we have roles for each part of the business for sure. So I didn't step in a single house last year. And we did 1.8 million.
Yes.
Yeah.
One thing I love about what we were able to provide is leverage. So Brent can extend himself, make him be in different territories. But does Brent have time to really physically be in those territories? Absolutely not, right? And so he leverages Joe Homebuyer, where we train his team, where we are the ones that are in the backgrounds assisting and coaching up and building their team up. And then Jerry Norton, they mentioned, he has 10 franchise territories. And so this is just the beginning. We're about 95 franchises nationwide, and we're excited. The big thing,
we have the 2 best franchisors.
We do
here.
We absolutely
franchisors, Keekley and Joe Homebuyer.
That's right.
It is.
One thing that's absolutely exciting, though, that you guys talk on a lot, it's community. And you don't realize that a brand, a product, a coaching product, it doesn't matter. Without the community, I actually would say the coaching product is nothing.
It's waste.
The community is everything. You can hear Brent say, I've done a deal, Jamil have done a deal, Pace done a deal. How many people still feel like, well, yeah, you're Pace. I'm not Pace. How many feel this?
Everybody.
Let's be honest. Let's get vulnerable
here. Even sometimes I feel that way.
Here's the beautiful thing. How amazing is it when the community comes together and say, I just followed with faith. I just followed this process and did exactly step by step what Pace said, what Jamil said, what Brent said. Guys, and it worked. Right? And you pinch yourself. And all of a sudden it worked for you. When you hear from a community member, you're like, okay, I'm going to do it. Because that's not Pace. Like, I now have hope. I now have a shot. How many feel that as well through the community? That's what the community brings. And without it, it's you feeling inferior. Like, I can't do this. It's Pace. He's got the gift of gab. He's got the golden tongue. I can never do what Pace does. And you're right, because you believe that. But when a community does it, it's different. So Joe Homebuyer, we're growing a fantastic culture, a fantastic community, and it just gets better and better. And then the data that comes in, because we're all on one database, I think that was the one thing I underlooked at. And I think that's the most powerful thing is when you see nationwide what marketing pieces really are working, what's not working, what list are they coming, what are they not coming from, what's the age demographic of the homeowner, what's the age of the home. We now know a national database exactly what's working, what's not working, and it's just getting bigger and better. So those are some of the things that when people they come into Joe Home Buyer, they're looking for, like, how do I step into this business? But then more importantly, maybe hit one more thing is leadership. Jim Rohn, rarely does a man or woman's income exceed their level of personal development. I want you to think through this. Rarely does a man or woman's income exceed their level of personal development. We have put personal development in just as hard as the A to Z process to get a deal and to keep a business going and grow it to $1 million business. We've put even more work into the leadership side, the personal dev side. What is this? He does have a golden tongue. I just wonder what the chuckle was.
That's my wife right there.
She's being nasty.
She was
Laura, stop being so nasty.
We were just talking about not having
this
any
was
more
going
kids.
so good, Laura. I was talking about leadership, and everything was going so smooth.
That's what this show does.
Let's rope it in. Let's rope it in. Leadership.
When you're getting real serious, then Pace will just drop some of these.
And here's the thing. No one would
Jamil will crack some joke about it.
Saw it.
Yeah.
He posted it. He tagged. He pinned it.
I know.
These two are awful.
I know.
Let's get back to leadership. Rarely does a man's income exceed their level of personal development. Meaning we work just as hard on leadership and personal dev being part of Joe Home Buyer, so that we can just literally become someone better and watch the money chase you. There's nothing worse than watching someone chase money and they're still a C leader. And more importantly, good luck getting past 250 as a C leader. You need to be an A leader so that you could attract these unicorns that are A players. A players don't work for C leaders. A players work for A leaders.
That's the truth.
That is
Very
100% true. And
truth.
if you can fake them and say, I'm an A leader, and they come and they get hired, and 2 weeks later, they're going to walk because they're like, you are a C leader at best.
Yeah, you can't fake that.
You can't keep it. Like, you can fake it, but you won't keep it.
I was reading a study recently where they were testing cortisol levels of an office.
Cortisol is your stress
The stress hormone, right? And everybody in the office was, they were excited for this, but they were kind of like, okay, well, we feel okay, whatnot. What was happening was the leader, the CEO, was so stressed out, like completely. And every time he'd be around, everyone would be like, "Arr." So what they realized was actually the cortisol levels all had risen to the level of the CEO.
Caught, not taught.
And why it was is because hormonally, how like when you put women in a room together in an office together, within a few months their menstrual cycles will sync up.
I call that women Wi-Fi.
Well, well, we all have that Wi-Fi, and it's not just that. It's the hormone will actually start to upregulate or downregulate within you just because of proximity.
Sure.
And so toxicity in a workplace is contagious.
That's right.
Positivity and encouragement in a workplace is, because the oxytocin that creates, the bonds, that's what creates bonds between people. Yeah. And that hormone is actually the same thing. It can upregulate or it can downregulate based off how people are feeling supported in their environment and feeling bonded in their environment. And so the leadership is not only necessary as a function of a business doing well, it is the heart of a business doing well. And so if you're not developing yourself as a leader and you're expecting that the people, because I see a lot of people do this, well, I don't know this, but I'm going to hire for it. Yeah. I'm going to hire for it. I'm going to hire for it. Okay, good. Hire for your holes, your blind spots, no problem. But there is accountability that needs to be taken in the leadership role for you to level yourself up so that you can continue to provide your staff and your people with the kind of culture and the type of situation that they signed up for.
Yeah. Gone are the days of management. I mean, that's what corporate America was, right? Is a checkbox. It was, you go to work, you do this, and a manager came in to make sure that was done, not to see if you were a perfect fit or if you're sitting in the right seat or you're on the right bus, but you're not in the right seat and we can move you around. It was not that. That's why most mom and dads were miserable in corporate America, is because they just went to work because that's what you did. But we have so much knowledge and data now behind leadership versus management. Leadership inspires people and they go off and manage themselves. Management is checkbox. Don't manage people, lead people, inspire people, and then they go out and manage themselves.
Do you feel that when you're posting early on and people know that you're responding to emails and getting up early and doing the, you know what I mean? Do you think that affects your organizations?
Yeah, all the time.
Like, how does that manifest?
There's an interesting thing. Actually, Jamil and I have, one of the companies that Jamil and I collaborate on is they have a core value called Mars mentality, which is like whatever it takes. Okay. Like think outside the box, think outer space. And where that comes from is he's an astronaut. I'm an alien. Right. And him and I think Mars mentality. Like we're not thinking on this earth. We're thinking about getting to Mars. And when we, yeah, exactly. And when you think that way and you express that way and you operate that way, it is amazing. There's two things that happen. One, the people that are on the team existing change their frequency. They rise up to that level, right? Kind of like your personal income will never outpace your personal development. Like you said with Jim Rohn, same thing with your organization will never outpace your leadership. So as you do those things, people rise to that level, which is amazing.
And if not, pull over the bus.
Yep. And then the second thing that I notice is that we start attracting people at a way, like people say, well, how do you find the people you have? And I go, we don't. We attract them. How many people know Molly in here on my team? Did you notice a culture shift in our entire community when Molly hit in our community? 100%, right? Like, and I tell her all the time, I go, I didn't deserve you before that time. I had to become a person that deserved you. You came into my life in the most random way, but it wasn't random. Randy Garn. Are you friends with Randy Garn? Okay.
He's the most known individual in Utah.
So, seriously. So I'm texting with him and Jim Quick right now.
Yeah.
And I was on a plane. I found myself on a plane with him about a year and a half ago. And I'm talking to him and he's just a magical, like elf.
I didn't say a magical elf.
He's a smaller guy. Okay.
5'2" and a heart of gold.
Yeah, quite literally. And he says, we're on a plane and I go, man, how is it that I've never met you before? Like, you know, all of my friends. And he said, have you done any personal development lately? I go, yeah, like I had this thing and this thing and this thing. I just broke through some really big barriers in my life. And he goes, well, then you finally deserved to meet me. And it wasn't cocky.
Yeah. No, he doesn't have the arrogance.
He doesn't not have that in him. The way he delivered that, I was like, wow, what an amazing moment where he's like, you and I were not meant to meet until you overcame those things.
Sure.
And we attracted each other and we needed to have this conversation. He's like, so he turns to me and says, thank you. Thank you for fighting through those things that you and I could meet. And you thought it was, so I just got a text message from Steve Harward saying, hey, jump on my plane. We're going to go do this thing. That's not where that came from. It was something that I overcame going back to the unicorn. Unicorns attract unicorns. Yeah. So in our organization, when I wake up at 3:00 in the morning and I do that stuff, here's where it's hard. The older you get, the more tired you get, right? You slow down just a little bit. And I'll find myself not doing those things. And it doesn't always have to be wake up at 3 and emails and all that kind of stuff. It's other things. Yeah. It's, going on a 9-day road trip and Jamil and I meeting 2,000 of our community members in person and staying out until 1:00 in the morning in a parking lot. And our team members see that. Or you see me going and doing 1,000 push-ups with Kevin Cho all the way from Montana down here and forcing our community members to do push-ups with us every stop of the way. Yeah. It's doing those things outside of the box and creating a culture that back at home, our company watches that and they're like, this guy cares so much about this company. Like, how dare I not give it my all? So yeah, it shows up big time.
Jamil?
I forgot our question. Our topic is so good. What am I?
No, I mean, just, your leader, you were talking about the cortisol level, right?
Yeah,
and you're talking about, listen, there's going to be some good months. There's going to be bad months. There's going to be some times where you're starting something new or something's growing really fast. Like, how do you, as a leader, how do you keep it so that the cortisol level doesn't reach some sort of critical mass? So it doesn't, like, there's not hysteria either way.
Yeah. I think the thing for me that has been true is nothing changes when I worry. Like nothing. And so when I feel it creep up, when I feel negativity, when I feel anxiety start to creep up.
What do you worry about?
Well, there's all kinds of things you can worry about, right? You can look at the interest rates, you can look at volume, you can look at closed properties, pending properties, all the things, right? The 2023 had waves in it. There were months that were good, and there were months that were like, what's happening? Are we gonna are we going to bring in enough to cover overhead this month?
Right.
Right. Not that we can't cover overhead, but I never want to dip into the bank account to cover overhead. I want what's coming in to cover overhead. If the month was a nil month for us, no problem. I'm fine with that. If we made enough to cover overhead, great. If we didn't make enough to cover overhead, that's a problem. And thankfully, it never happened.
Sure.
On the other side of that, I'm looking at it and thinking, okay, I can worry about this. And worrying then just creates physiological results in me that aren't pushing me to the best of my abilities. Or I can set that aside and I can look at what I have available to me, what I can do to solve this situation, and I can get to work.
Control the controls.
Yeah, and that's like truly the only thing that I have as my secret weapon is that I will not. I have to show up, dude. Like I have an obsession with being consistent and showing up.
I've never seen somebody in my life that's more consistent and shows up more than Jamil ever. I've seen some of that.
Madness.
It's crazy. Like somebody actually texted or said something 1 minute before the show. They're like, "Where's Jamil?" I'm like, "He'll come in right as the show starts." I know he's dependable. In 7 years of collaborating with this man, I've never once seen an ounce of a crack. Even when he's going through personal things, this dude shows up in all the best possible ways.
How about when they cut open his throat?
Oh yeah, and he's
and he's in a neck brace.
And I showed up at the mastermind.
And you had your mastermind like 2 hours later.
Yeah, it was insanity.
You're like in a hospital gown.
It doesn't matter to me though. Everybody got to see my butt that day.
Yeah.
But
Still had a catheter.
Yeah.
You know that the tough thing about that, just for a second, is that your team, let's say that team that runs all of that for you was underneath somebody else's leadership in a different company. They would have naturally, as human beings, just gone, well, obviously the leader of the organization just went through a neck surgery where they had to go through the front of his neck to get the back of his vertebrae. They had to move all of his stuff to the side. Like, that dude's not showing up for the next month. However, because you show up so consistently, here's what's so cool about this, and also the downside to this. And this is where leaders don't get the credit they deserve. His team didn't even think for a second, Jamil's not showing up.
They're telling him not to.
They're telling him not to. They know he's going to be there. They have been trained to know this man is so consistent in no matter what condition that he's going to be there. And so they're continually planning the thing, even while he's in the hospital with a scalpel going through the front of his neck to the back to adjust these things. That's an upside, right? Because your team now rises to your frequency. Yeah. The downside side is that there's very little wiggle room to be a human.
Yeah.
And that is a tough thing to be a leader. And so most people just go, this doesn't feel comfortable. I want to feel like a human. I want to be able to have excuses. I want to be able to have these moments where I can call in sick. And you really don't have that leeway. And as a leader, you really don't have the ability to just call in sick all the time. It creates a culture in your organization that it's like, oh, I don't think he'll show up for this because he's going through something hard. What's amazing is as you do those things, I get to hang out with a lot of your team members because we collaborate in a bunch of ways, and I see you show up in them, and they don't make excuses. There's nothing that keeps them from getting the job done. Yeah. And it's impressive, and it comes from the leadership. So nobody gets their flowers while they're alive. Just want to give you those flowers while you're
love you,
here.
Yeah,
love
awesome.
you too.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
That's what it is, though.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
So what do you do if people aren't performing? You're getting up, you're doing your thing, you're showing up with a great attitude, great energy.
They get a chance.
Hard.
They get a chance, and then they get to go.
How does that go?
I mean, just like that. You get a chance, and then you get to go.
Yeah.
There's not a lot. I'm not going to. I cannot bring myself to the situation where I'm going to lower myself to where you are. Mm-hmm. I can't. It's dangerous for my system. I can't operate in that frequency. I can't. It's gross there.
Yeah.
Right. So when I'm in victimhood, oh my God. Okay. So, for instance, had the surgery, had the neck situation go down. Right. Another video I did with Bobby today is funny. That this comes up. Had the situation when that post went out on the internet, right? It was the most attention, most engagement, most everything that I'd ever had on my social media ever was when I was sick. Yeah. When something was wrong. And I saw and I thought, interesting. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why? And so I start going in. I'm like, well, what is it about people that make them want to do that, right? Well, they either want to fix it, right? They want to help, or they want to avoid it themselves. And that's why so many people come out and are like, are you okay? Are you okay? We're praying for you. We're praying for you. Love, sending prayers, which I appreciated all of it.
Yeah.
I'm not, but it was, I was racing to get that flipping thing off my neck, because every time that I would make a post, it would get way more engagement. And it's like, wait, hold on. Shouldn't you keep the neck brace on? No, because I don't want the engagement because I have a thing on my neck. I don't want people to watch this because they're like, oh, poor Jamil. I need to get away from poor Jamil as fast as freaking possible. Pace and I knew a guy here, and I think you knew him too. His wife died of cancer and widowed him with 3 kids.
That's all he talked about.
And every time you would meet him, see him, talk to him, the only thing he would ever talk about is, my life is really hard because my wife died of cancer. So you're going to give me that deal?
Oh, bro, I did a deal with this guy. So Steve Trang gets a deal. He gets in the middle of it. And Steve Trang sends me a deal. I send it out to a buyer's list. This guy goes to Steve Trang and he goes, hey, I think this is your deal. We should just cut Pace Morby out. And Steve calls me as a friend. He goes, hey, just want to let you know this guy's doing this call. So I call him and I confront him. This is my first call with this guy ever. He says, well, look, man, what do you expect? My wife died of cancer 7 years ago. Literally in the first 45 seconds.
He killed him.
That justifies doing bad deal.
I'm like, how are we having this conversation?
It always goes okay. And every time he would justify it, his crappy behavior.
And what do you do as the guy? I go, I'm like, this is an impossible situation for me. I go, this is psychological. This is what I told him on the phone. I don't know you, but this is, you should write a book about this. You and Chris Voss should have the best negotiating tactics of all time, because
he set an anchor hard on you.
You set a hard anchor. How do I negotiate against you? Now I have to just say, oh, it's okay because this happened. Or if I don't, I look like the actual butthole.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm okay being the jerk.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Set boundaries.
I set a boundary and I just said, don't ever. Anyway, so keep going with your story.
What did you use to tell him? You're like, how many times?
Hold on, because it's the best.
Because he was on the phone with him, and
I lost my cool, right?
So it just happened all the time. He would do it unconsciously.
He ripped me off for $5,000.
Yep.
He sold me a house he didn't even have.
Yep.
Just to get $5,000, right? He just wanted the money or whatever it was, right? He just flat out ripped me off, and I'm like, dude, you ripped me off. He's like, well, my wife, she died of cancer. And I'm like, how many times are you going to kill your wife this year? And he's like, honestly, how many times are you going to kill your wife this year, dude? He's like, that's the worst thing anybody's ever said to me. I'm like, good.
The most honest.
Good. But hear this. Because I think that did something to him when I said that to him, because he kind of let off, right? And he got quiet on social media. He stopped talking about it. And then his son got cancer. His 15-year-old son gets cancer, right? And it's just like, he's like, yes! Because the way he went, it's like it wounded him up, and he went, pooh! And he was attached
Every
to the
conversation
sickness.
Is now about that.
Everything was all about my son, my son, my son. I'm a widow, my son, my son. I need deals, I need deals, I need deals. My son, my widow, I need deals, I need deals. And then every time he'd do something terrible, it's like, but my son's got cancer. It's so hard on us. And I'm thinking, your addiction to your sickness wore off on your kid.
Yes.
And then he makes a post. He's in a hospital gown. And he's like, hey, guys, just wanted to say to all of you guys, I love you. Thank you so much. I'm having gallbladder surgery today. But I would really love the prayers, with everything that's happened with my wife and my kid. I'm just happy that you guys are all there. Thank you so much. Yeah. Dies.
Wow.
I mean, isn't that intense?
It's amazing how that negativity attaches itself to
Bro.
it. It manifests its way. It's all the energy of.
I'm like, every hair on my body right now is standing up because it's like, You can see that. You got to look at what are the things that are energizing you. Are you being energized by negativity? Are you being energized by negative energy? Are you being energized by your infirmities? What is energizing you? And if you are, stop it.
Yeah.
Look at the pattern, see what it is. It's so important because look, you can make money and charge it negatively.
Mm-hmm.
And then that money will do negative things in your life and situation. You can make money and you can charge it positively. I see one of the greatest things that Pace has made me is generous. Because before my friendship with Pace, I had a hard time, and he would make fun of me about it all the time. I'd have a hard time writing the check. I would, I'd just be like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Whatever. I don't like those kids. I want to keep my money. I was like that in the beginning. I'm just being honest. And he's like, dude, that is not how it goes, right? You got to write the check. Let's write the check, right? But it's 150. Write the check. Okay. Right? So it's like, so he teaches me how to open my heart, right? How to open my heart to that. And now I love giving.
It's amazing.
It feels so good. But if I hadn't had you as an example, that I got to charge my money with positivity, with love and generosity, then that energy would still be in me of wanting to hoard it, keep it, and be miserly with it, because that's the financial legacy that my family gave me, was that we were never going to have enough and we would never be able to keep it. It was always going to leave us. That's who we are. We aren't people with money. We are always going to be poor. My grandmother told me that. It was her mantra. We will always be poor.
Yeah.
My grandma's mantra was, we will always be poor.
Did you catch that?
No, I caught it then.
Sure.
Of course I caught it then. And that's probably why I had such a hard time writing the checks, right? But I had to deprogram myself of that, and I had to see it. And then now, when I see that creep back up in me, it's very easy for me to recognize the program and understand that I go the other direction.
So full circle. In fact, Brent, I want your input, because I get to see your team often, and they're always like excited, positive. They don't see the down. What do you do?
Lifts weights all day.
I get to witness it.
Listen,
I get to witness the byproduct.
Listen, this is the best business of all time. I mean, it truly is. We get to flip properties we don't own. You know what I mean? Oh my God. We get to flip properties we don't own for a living. You know what I mean? From one conversation, you can go and you can flip a property. I mean, we're flipping contracts.
Yeah.
But I mean, you get to find the absolute best opportunities. So every day we're hunting for really great opportunities and problems to solve. And when we solve those problems, we get rewarded instantly. So it's all day, every day. Everybody's going out there to try to solve problems.
Sure.
And we get paid for it. I mean, I don't know. Like, I was a real estate agent for a long time, and that's cool, but it's just a different feel.
I would argue
it's a different feel.
Watching what you went through with you had a $700,000 judgment.
Yep.
You had this massive team.
Yep.
Everything imploded. You were driving around in a brown Lexus with hail
sand
dense,
colored
sand.
Yeah,
sorry,
sand colored.
That sounds a little bit more upgraded.
Yeah.
More desert tone.
It was a desert.
You're driving around. I would say the same thing for me. Somebody says to me, Pace, why don't you take a break?
Yeah.
And I said, every day that I'm not a contractor is a vacation.
Yeah.
Every day that I'm not living the life I was is a vacation every single day.
Yeah.
Tigger, we went to a house that I bought subto today. We went and visited. And remember when I was walking through the driveway, I said, it still is weird to me. What did I say? Do you remember what I said? Okay.
No.
She don't bother her. Don't be bothered by her. It
must have been impactful.
It wasn't, obviously. But I was sitting there pinching myself going, how is this possible? I didn't have to talk to the seller.
Right.
No.
You said that on your live before it died. I heard it.
Yeah. You saw
Should have asked me, not Tigger.
I should have asked you. I was like, I never talked to the seller. It came from one of my students that I taught how to do this. He made $23,000 bringing the deal to me.
Yeah.
I never talked to a bank. Nobody pulled my credit. Yeah. And then the went dead. No tax returns, no bank statements, none of that stuff. And when you say this thing of like, yeah, we get to flip houses we don't own, I'm like, yes, that's exactly what we do. Well, it seems fake.
It does. It does. and try explaining it to like, the parents of the kids in
School.
in school.
You're at
They're
like a
what?
kid function. They're like, what do you
I
do?
just tell them I
Brent,
flip houses. They're like, yeah, of course you do. It's Arizona.
oh, it's like
Everybody
one of
flips
them
houses.
TV
You
shows.
know what I mean? They're like, oh, HGTV. I was like, yeah, I love it. It's my passion. What do you say? I told one guy, I told him, that I wholesale, and he's like, what? And another guy buys from wholesalers. He was a flipper at my son's school, and he's like, and he has this grumpy face. He looks like a salamander, and he's like,
Salamander.
"Is that legal?
Is that
Is that legal?" And so people just don't understand what we do, but we flip houses.
My
we don't
neighbors
own.
think I sell dope, so
Yeah,
it's all good.
for sure. But you have 1,000 cars. I don't know.
Full circle.
I love this. No, I love. So to answer the question, listen, to be able to wake up every day and have and just from the skills that you can learn and one of these things and doing it over and over and over and over again, just knowing that push comes to shove, I could just get on the phone and make something happen. That's a wonderful feeling. It's a safety net that is fantastic, and being able to build around with my best friends and grow a business and have time with the family. It's just the best. So, I mean, it's easy to have a good attitude when everything's going well. You know what I mean? It's when it's a slower month, when it's a transitioning month, when all the cash buyers disappeared in June of 2022. You know what I mean? And how do you pivot and how do you keep the enthusiasm high?
Or you have your spine, like a bunch of your spine removed, and your wife leaves you.
Right.
How do you show up then?
Right.
I did that.
Yeah.
It was the hardest time of my life.
Yeah.
But you do what you got to do.
But isn't you walk into that building and it just gives you juice? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you walk into something that you built and you're like,
of course it does.
You know what I mean?
You get energized from the people that you work with.
Yeah.
But you know what you want to know where you really get energy from is when you wake up, you do what you're supposed to do, you keep your promises to yourself, and you keep that integrity. If you make yourself a commitment the night before that you're going to do something tomorrow, and if you break integrity with yourself, that is one of the most disempowering energies, frequencies, vibrations you will ever have to live with.
Yeah.
Because breaking a promise to yourself is, I feel, is as bad as breaking a promise to God.
Sure.
What about you, Cody? I know people that come from your organization. What are you doing leadership wise to keep that culture as high as it currently is?
I got to witness it. So I'm very, very I'll catch stuff, and that's why this is with me all day long. People are like, what's remarkable? I get it. It's not an iPad because I don't want distraction. This brain is already distracted enough, so this has no apps. But I will be writing a ton of stuff that I just witnessed of true leadership. You had a guy that didn't want to cut the check, didn't want to tithe, didn't want to donate, whatever it was that he did not want to do it. Did Pay say, then I don't want to hang out with you? Did you witness what he did? Through example and through vulnerability, sharing his experience and his story led to him to want to cut the check. And I think too many times we can be harsh as a leader and go in there and want to cut ties and say, you didn't do the work, you're gone. Did Pace do that to Jamil? No. Hear me out on this. We use this all the time. I use it. It's called LEAD. It's just a model me and my wife came up with our kids, but I use that at the office all the time. If you want to write this down, L is list the problem. So if you catch someone doing a wrong thing, just list the problem, spell it out to them. Don't beat around the bush. Just be real with them. Hey, I noticed you were on that phone call and it was a little rough, a little choppy. You're talking in a tone that I've just never heard before. Now let's tie it to a principle. So list the principle that is a family or a actual, I say family, but business principle. And one of our principles is heart for others. One of the things we really have is a heart for others here. And so I just felt like, man, does that guy really feel the love? Was that your best effort? Now E, so in the LEAD model, E is an example. And I'm going to share my own personal example where I've done wrong. Maybe Pace went a step further and he didn't share it and actually shared a story when he cut the check and what the result of that was. And maybe that was the actual inspiration that said to Jamil, I've got to cut the check because I want to experience what Pace just said. So I'm going to give an example where I did wrong. I was on the phone with this guy and he was just being so bad to me. And I hung up the phone. I said, that guy was a complete douchebag. And then I looked down and I realized I didn't hang up.
Oh, dang.
Do you think that guy did business with Cody Hotline?
No.
Do you think I had an incredible learning moment right there? So A is the acquired knowledge. So I shared an example when I also did wrong. A is the acquired knowledge. What did I acquire during that time? That knowledge I acquired was A, hang up the phone first and foremost before you say something like that. But B, you don't need to say those kinds of words. It does not even need to leave your voice. Like, why would you say something like that? Just move on, hit the next button. And the next one is $10,000 closer to your next paycheck, right? The next phone call. But I didn't. I stooped down to their level, right? Take the high road. Let karma do your dirty work. Don't you do it. Let that take care of itself. Take the high road. And then D, help them discover how they could do it better next time. So that's my lead model I've been using with my kids. I pulled Bentley aside. He was talking to his mom. I love Bentley to death, by the way. He's not a bad kid, and he wasn't swearing at my wife, but he's my 15-year-old. Hormone change, everything. And he just had this tone about him that was just like deserving, like, yeah, Mom, yeah, I don't want that breakfast. I want this breakfast. And he just kind of went down that road. So I brought him in and I walked him through this model, but I got vulnerable. I said, hey, Bentley, I don't appreciate you the way you're talking to your mom. She's my everything. And I ended up breaking down crying to my 15-year-old. I said, I just won't have this, man. Do you really want to be that person? And I wasn't chewing him out. I didn't say, hey, next time you do that, I'm taking your phone. That doesn't work. That's not leadership. We build up, right? Bentley starts crying. Bentley's not an emotional guy. He doesn't feel feelings, so he hides them. Bentley starts crying. For the next week, it was like hug my wife every single morning, give her a kiss and hug her every single night, thank her for breakfast every single morning, because I did the hard work. The fake work is you didn't do what you're supposed to be doing, Pace, dude. One more time and you're gone. That's fake work. That's not leadership. Leadership's hard work. I'm willing to go the mile and share a little bit more so Jamil will cut the check versus cut him loose, right? And so I got to witness true leadership right there, and I hope you guys caught it. Those are the details. That's why Jamil cut the check, because someone was a true leader and not a manager and tried to cut him off. He didn't look for the numbers. He looked to change a life, and he changed a life.
Yep. Give that up for Cody Hotline.
Gosh, those legs are big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Disclose that.
How do you find jeans or do you put your pants on how girls put their pants on? Like, do you have to?
No, he jumps in these suckers.
Do you lay on bed and
They
do
have
the
them
whole
tied up by
thing
strings. He has to
is
jump
it-
into.
Is it like that?
It is. They're very stretchy. They're very stretchy.
American Eagle.
They're spandex. Yeah.
Mine are stretchy. I like this. I know
You
I get
guys.
2 pair a year.
You stop it.
Well, Cody Hotline,
I am susceptible to flattery.
in
You
your,
know this.
in your business, we've got 7 minutes until the show's wrapped up. Thank you for that. That was great. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
In your business, I know most of your leads are inbound.
Yeah.
Right? Are you guys seeing that that's going to amplify over the next couple of years, the inbound lead, as regulation is popping up in wholesale? I even saw more regulation coming out on cold calling and outbound marketing and all that kind of stuff. So what are your thoughts on lead generation over the next couple of years?
I'm really big, and I've been big on this for years, and I think ever more so now, and that is digital marketing, all things point digital marketing. Pay-per-click, SEO. I mean, SEO is the plant your seed and the tree won't grow for 10 years, but you're going to be grateful that you planted that seed 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Digital marketing is massive. And here's one to give for Jerry Norton, to give a big shout out. I wish he was here because he deserves the credit for this. He brought agent outreach to Joe Homebuyer, meaning we were doing this direct mail direct to the seller. But right now, I mean, Monique, what was her name?
Monique Walker, yeah.
Monique, 15 deals, 10, 12 deals a month, just calling expired listings. This is an actual real business now. And this is just a personal opinion. During the big boom, you wouldn't catch me dead calling an agent. Now it's absolutely very much alive, and it's an incredible strategy. So I'd say between agent outreach, which I'm grateful Jerry brought to the Joe brand, that's doing a lot of deals, and I think everything's going digital. I'm telling you, we still love the pay-per-click. We still love the Facebook. We still love the SEO. We get plenty of leads from that. And now I think what you have to do is just strategize different. So when we're talking about hanging out with the movers and shakers, I'm not going to go ask a Walmart bagger how to make $1 million, right? We're on the same page. Be sure you're willing to accept advice from people you'll trade places with. But if you won't trade places with them, you also have to cut it out like you would cancer. This is a truth that you have to stay true to. And going to where am I going to go with this? Where was I right before I said that? Because that was the truth. That was the truth. Help me, guys. Help me.
You were talking about agent outreach and your inbound pay-per-click or digital marketing.
Oh, you got to get smarter. Brent, I bet you in the near future goes into multiple markets. I'm in multiple markets. And so what I do is I hunker down on the 20% that's working, and you kind of carve out that 80% fluff that, yes, it brought in deals, but it was like, okay, I sent out direct mail 10,000 pieces a week, and that equated to 265 grand spend for the whole year that brought in 315,000. Know your numbers. Like, why? Why are we working that hard for $100,000 spread? That's awful. Where digital was 300 grand out, 1.1 in. Do you see what I'm saying? So if I want to grow, I'm not going to grow.
Has mail declined that much for you guys?
It has. So we honed in. We only do 500 pieces a week because we know that's where the deals came from. So know your numbers, know your sources. And then the other thing is, if you want to expand in the 20%. But if you're capped out in the market or you feel like you are, then go to another market and still do that 20% model in multiple markets and be very profitable in your business versus 20% margin. I think if you're doing a 20% margin in this business, I think you are missing the boat, because I think 40 and 50% is beyond achievable for anyone in this room if you play the game and know your numbers. But you do have to shift from 2015 to 2022. It's a different game now. We're in multiple markets to go get that same revenue, but we're finding out that revenue is more profitable.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I joined Homevestors back in 2014-ish, they were talking about how we were spending money on billboards, like big time. Do you spend any money on billboards?
If we have regional spend, but no one's doing it.
Okay, so this is interesting. Homevestors still spends a lot of money on this.
Yeah.
And
business cards.
Here's what's crazy.
Bus stops.
Oh my gosh. This is the opposite of what you're saying. This is how antiquated and it's ironic actually that their logo is a caveman.
Yeah.
Because they are so barbaric in their and archaic in their ways. And so I was head of the marketing committee for Homevestors. I don't know if you knew this.
I did not know
For 2 years, I would fly out to Homevestors Dallas for 2 years every other weekend, and I would sit down with the marketing committee.
How well were you heard?
They would listen, but they would not. They could hear me. They would not listen. And I would break things down. I would talk about what are people doing. Here's what Brent Daniels doing. Here's all these things that are changing, guys. This is absolutely crazy. Like, why are we doing this? They said, well, because when we first started, billboards crushed it. Mm-hmm. And that's where all of our phone calls came from. And
so did business cards in the 80s.
And so I go, but guys, you guys, if we spent $200,000 on billboards saying we'll buy your house, how many phone calls back in 2018 was Homevestor getting in Phoenix, Arizona on $200,000 in ad spend on billboards? How much do you think? Literally zero.
But it's brand recognition, Pace.
That was it. So they didn't understand their numbers. So this is what they would say. They go, well, when we weren't doing billboards, our direct mail open rate would slow down. And I'm like, by how much? It was so nominal. It was almost like non-recognizable, but they stuck with the model. They kept doubling down and doubling down and doubling down. Meanwhile, I'm watching digital spend go up with other companies, and they just couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
Couldn't keep up. And the franchisees got sick of it, and people started making a departure. I love that you guys know your numbers so well, and that you're like, oh yeah, we'll still do this, but it's not where the 20% is coming from.
No.
In fact, I'd rather go into a different market than overspend.
Correct.
So we had 20 guys in our ad council here in Phoenix, Arizona. And what we had, think about this. We were spending $600,000 a month as 20 guys. You guys don't know this, but like every single market, there's 1,100 franchisees in the country. In Phoenix, Arizona only, they spend $600,000 a month. And what's funny, this is also the other funny part of this. Do you guys know any Homevestors? They spend 600 grand a month, and nobody in here but one person knows them. Think about how much opportunity there's still out there, that somebody's out there spending that kind of money, and people in here don't know them, don't run into them. You rarely run into them.
Rarely. And there's 14 in Salt Lake.
There's 14, and they're spending hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I love that you're all about the numbers. I love that you're doubling down on those things. What's a good market? If I want to start a market today, don't say Utah. Okay.
It's awful.
Utah's great because you guys have Arctic Circle. I'd be up there all the time.
Oh, bro, Arctic Circle of all
bro,
things?
best shakes you'll ever have in your life.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay.
Come
you
on.
haven't been to Nelson's then.
Nelson's is okay. It's a 6.
Dude,
It's
that's a cardinal sin.
It's a 6 out of a 10.
Ooh.
Okay.
Arctic Circle, it's a franchise.
If I'm so if I open a market, where am I opening a market? Today.
Let me follow up with a question because I wouldn't answer that unless I know. Do you want a rentals or do you want wholesaling?
I've switched 85% of what I do. 90% of what I do now is buy and hold. So for me, I want to buy and hold.
Then I'm going to go where rentals are going. So I would say if you want a good rental market, I'm heavily looking into like Green Bay, Milwaukee, amazing like duplex, triplex, capital of the world. And you can get deals that are well over 1% rule on market today. I love Louisville, Kentucky. And I love myself. I'm personally in Greensboro, North Carolina. And I love the Carolinas. The Carolinas are phenomenal. Yeah. So knowing what you want, I think, is what you need to find out first. If you're looking for wholesaling, I'm also going to say, yeah, some of those are good hybrid states. But
what's a good wholesale state?
Good wholesale state, every one of those, I guess I'd pump out there too. But what I'd stay out of is your big players. I hope this doesn't hurt anyone's feelings. I wouldn't be in Arizona. I wouldn't be in Miami. I wouldn't be in Salt Lake. They're just hyper competitive, and it's going to trust your patience.
He's not saying wholesale in general. He's saying his model, just so you guys know, in ad spend. Like if you're doing JV deals, you're working with real estate agents.
Yeah. Let people bring deals to you, but cost per lead. If you don't have a gut to stomach some of the cost it's going to take to do it yourself, you're going to drive your cost up, and it'll scare you.
If you're Pace Morby, you can go in any market and close a deal. Salt Lake, I can go start in. I can make money, but I'm going to spend a lot of money.
The spreads are bigger. I wouldn't tell you, even as good as you are, to go to California though either.
Yeah,
like I would X the whole state. In fact, let's send them to a whole new country. Like
I agree. Anybody from California here?
Love you guys.
Come on, don't raise your hands, guys. So where would you go? Wholesale. I'm strictly wholesale.
I'd be
smaller market.
I'd be mid markets where your median home price is $150,000 to $300,000.
Yeah.
Do the math do that equation in Google, and you'll find plenty in that. But I don't think that's any given one, as much as keep your numbers on the lower end, not the high end.
Got it.
Yeah.
Love it. Oh, dude, we're 2 minutes late. I'm so sorry.
Guys, will you guys come up here?
Everybody come up here real fast so everybody can see you guys.
Everybody can see your beautiful faces.
Wow, look at this.
Come on.
Matt's not here today, so we don't have the behind the scenes. Come on, swarm in, guys.
Come on.
We got.
You can lay on the table if you want.
If you, let somebody lay on the table.
Keep coming, surround it. There we go.
Yes, come on in, guys. Come on in.
Get your faces in here.
There we go.
Okay, everybody, on the count of 3, everybody has to yell Wholesale Hotline, okay? 1, 2, 3.
Wholesale Hotline!
Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing?
I didn't say that thing.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Cool. I think we should use the one where Jamil doesn't say anything.